Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 2021 Carlisle Borough Council meeting. I now call us to order, and we'll begin with a moment of silence and Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilor Fulham Winston.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The last year has been both terrifying and affirming, but tonight I want to focus on the terror. It is not COVID that keeps me up at night, but rather the state of our democracy. I am fearful that we do not feel urgently the need to protect and nurture our democracy. There are elected officials in our county, commonwealth, and country who refuse to stand up for the validity and security of our elections, and that is destructive of democracy. There are elected officials across our county, commonwealth, and country who are working to make it more difficult to vote rather than making voting an easy and joyous part of our citizenship. Everyone listening to this meeting can stand up for our democracy next week by voting. There are important races on the ballot, the outcomes of which will affect everyone's lives. There are ballot questions that will also affect us. On Tuesday, please support our democracy by getting to the polls and voting so that your voice will be heard and we will be a stronger community and a stronger country. And now the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Fulham Winston. We'll now have the roll call. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Cramsey? Mr. Cramsey?
He's muted.
I see Mr. Cramsey. He's here. Ms. Fulham Winston?
Here.
Mr. Hicks?
Here.
Ms. Landis?
Here.
Mr. Schultz?
Here.
Mayor Scott?
Here.
And Mr. Stubbe?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, a quorum being present, we will proceed. Next is our public hearing, subdivision land development ordinance amendment. And who has that?
He's still muted.
Sean, are you with us? Oh, okay.
Mayor Scott, I believe Solicitor Brenneman will take the lead on the public hearing in the saldo.
Okay. Mr. Solicitor, you're on.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll give a brief overview on the larger points in this ordinance. One change in particular is to allow sufficient time for staff, the engineer and the manager, and sometimes the solicitor, to have time to review plans before they get to the Planning Commission. And along with that, there is a new provision that encourages all applicants to have a pre-application submission meeting with the engineer, the zoning officer, and the manager. Both of those provisions will do one very important thing, and that is to provide more information to council, and certainly more timely information to council, before they're confronted or given a plan to review in a public meeting. So that was the idea behind those particular changes. And another one that is also significant, and perhaps more so, is to address the concern of transparency that was raised by the public. A lot of times they're not aware that plans are coming before council, let alone the Planning Commission. And the new section that's been added addresses those concerns by requiring an applicant, before an application is submitted to the borough, to have a outreach meeting with the public. And that public is identified by property owners that are within a certain radius of the land that's proposed to be developed. There's a written notice requirement, and there's a certification requirement that is a requirement of submitting a plan after that meeting with the public that must be met, or the plan will not be considered to be administratively complete and can be rejected. So those are the two main aspects of the changes that are proposed by this new ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. Any questions from council? on this amendment? Anyone either in person or on the call have any questions or comments about the ordinance? All right. And I'm assuming this hearing was publicly advertised and everything is on the record?
Yes, it was.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further business, we will adjourn this public hearing. Thank you very much, Mr. Solicitor.
Mayor Scott, excuse me.
Yes.
Somebody has raised their hand,
Okay.
Morgan Duck, so I'm going to allow her to talk.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Go ahead, Morgan. Or you need to there.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Morgan Dukes. I'm here as a member of the, just as a resident, but I also sit on the Planning Commission. And we spoke about this ordinance, this amendment, and I think, overall we think the public outreach option makes sense. But I did have some questions and wondered if it was an appropriate venue to raise them, specifically related to the outreach piece, and whether someone from the borough would be present for these meetings led by the developer. I think I'll just speak for myself. My concern was that if the meeting exists or occurs, but no one is there on behalf of the borough, or, sort of no third party taking notes or sort of observing what goes on, that I wasn't really sure what the value of the meeting would be. So that was my, primary question about the public outreach option.
Thank you, Morgan. And can you please give us your address for the record, please? It can be either home or work.
Sure. It's 4 Buchanan Drive, Carlisle 17013.
Thank you very much. Mr. Solicitor, do you have a response?
There's no requirement in the ordinance that a representative of the borough attend such a meeting. Obviously, that's something that can be done. The borough will know, that the applicant has given written notice to the required members of the public. The process that the applicant will go through in this pre-submission meeting is not binding on the applicant, other than to have it and to certify that the meeting has taken place. I'm not questioning the need or the idea of having someone be there and take notes. I would fully expect that the individuals from the public that are interested in a plan would be taking notes, would be remembering what is being said, and hopefully will be participating in a consideration of the plan in front of the Planning Commission and ultimately in front of council. So there's no specific requirement that someone from the borough be there, but I have every expectation the borough's going to hear about it. And if they don't hear about it, I'm sure they may have somebody there anyway.
Thank you very much. Anything further from any member of the public?
Can I make a comment?
Absolutely. Brenda Landis.
I also have brought up questions about the public meeting, and I think it's a very valid question that Morgan brings up. And I think that the whole idea of a public meeting is to actually have thoughtful dialogue and make sure everyone's on the same page. But I think some of the times that we've talked about it here in council, folks on council, within staff, such, we know of other developments that have happened, and we can actually speak thoughtfully about how something has gone in the past. So when residents maybe have concerns, we might, as some representative from the borough, be able to put minds at ease. So my concern has always been to ensure that we don't make these meetings so that everything is halted. It's more of just to be transparent, as you said, and to ensure that everyone's on the same page. And if there are some questions, that we can thoughtfully address them. The housing that's gone up across the street, it did go up. There were lots of questions, and there were lots of things that were addressed and taken care of because of a good public meeting. So I think, I don't know if it has to be in the ordinance, but I do think that can be something that we discuss within staff and council to decide how that would be best followed through, because I do want those meetings to be productive and not just something that people have to, do just to get development, into the next step.
Thank you, Counselor. Anything further?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to add, my likelihood to support this is actually, I don't view this as much as an extra step. I believe this process would actually help speed the process up when it goes into more deliberative stages of planning new developments. And my impression all along has been this is going to be something that actually reduces maybe some of the barriers that come up a little bit later, that by the process has to slow things down. So I'm hopeful. This is a little bit experimental for us, but I think it makes perfect sense in my mind.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hicks. Anything further from council? All right, I will again adjourn this public hearing. Thank you very much. Moving on, opportunity for citizens to be heard. We are joined by Mr. Art Kunst, the Downtown Mile Race Director. Mr. Kunst, you'll just come to the podium and give us your name and address for the record, and then we would love to hear from you.
Yes, my name is Art Kunst. I live at 636 Moreland Avenue here in the Borough, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you about the Carlisle Downtown Mile. If this was normal times, at this moment, on this Thursday in May, the team challenge runners would be running down High Street towards the finish line, because that's when we have the race. Unfortunately, these are not normal times. Last year we had to have a virtual race, and I have that t-shirt on now. And I'm here to ask you to follow up actually on the application I put in to the borough for the race to be held on August 12th. Back when we met back in January as a committee, we thought that having the race in May would not work. Things were, in terms of COVID mitigation, was not where we wanted to be as a borough or as a country. Things are moving along, as you saw today in the news. The national CDC guidelines have been greatly relaxed, and Governor Wolf has followed along with that with the state and has relaxed the state guidelines. So we're moving in the right direction, which is a wonderful thing. And one of the things we want to do is be able to continue the wonderful things that we're doing here in Carlisle. I was talking to Susan and Mr. Schultz before the meeting, and we're talking about how Carlisle really comes together in times of when things are tough. And they've done that these past 15 months by really reaching out to help each other in these tough times. And there's a lot of things that make Carlisle special in terms of helping each other. One of the things is the Amani Festival that they had on Saturday. That's one of the things that people really know and love here in Carlisle, just like the Downtown Mile. We're coming up, this year would be our 10th anniversary of the Carlisle Downtown Mile. So we're hoping to be able to make it very special for everybody, because it's a great community event. One of the things that makes Carlisle such a special, wonderful place to live. And it's a fun thing. 2 years ago, we had almost 800 participants, about 40 different teams that participated in it. So it's a wonderful community event, and people look forward to it on a Thursday. However, with saying all that, we still have the concerns about COVID. We're moving in the right direction as a country. However, things can go south on us, so we need to be aware of that. So with that in mind, we've come up with some different things that we want to do to be able to mitigate some of those concerns if we need to, if necessary. We don't want to put restrictions in if we don't need them. We want to have them in if we do need them. Some of the things, I just briefly want to mention a couple of things we would be doing. Have people, instead of coming whenever they want to for the start, give them certain time blocks to come to spread out the congregating. Also, for the start area behind the start line, usually we get a mass of about 150 people for each heat. This time what we would do is we would cut that down to 32. We put dots 6 feet apart, 4 rows 6 feet apart, 8 going back, 32 in the area. And so as soon as that wave is ready, all the dots are filled, they would start, then the next group would come in, fill the dots. When they're ready to go, they would go. Everyone would wear their mask until they start running and take their mask off, get to the end, put the mask back on. The beer garden, where we would have that in a bigger area. The folks at the Historical Society has been kind enough to allow us to use the pocket park, and there are 2 parking areas too, which would give us more space to spread out, which again is what we want to do if things go south on us in terms of the COVID mitigation. So Kids Alley, we would start at Pitt Street and go all the way back to Dickinson Street, which we haven't done before. We've gone part of the way back there. We haven't needed to go all the way back, so that's another way we can spread out. And then we still have the JFC parking lot there too. So there's a bunch of different things we would do. One other thing, I don't know in terms of the borough what their thoughts are on continuing the open container policy, but it's not really a question I'm asking. I'm just saying at that point that might be another option for people not to stay in the beer garden. If that would cause some social interaction problem, they could leave the area and walk around the borough. Another thing is possibly not having an award ceremony. They could just pick that up there or pick it up at ESC the next day or the next week. And one last thing would be possible a cap on the number of participants. As I said, 2 years ago, we had almost 800 participants, and we would maybe cap it at 500. Again, trying to reduce the number of people, the amount of social interaction to keep everybody safe. So those are things we could possibly do if we need to. Of course, we don't want to, but if we need to, we'll do what we need to do to be able to provide this wonderful community event for Carlisle. And I think that is all I wanted to say, but I do respectfully submit that I would love to be able to help provide the Carlisle Downtown Mile 10th Anniversary Edition on August 12th as a race director, and we have a good group on the committee working hard to present this and be able to have this in a safe and fun way for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And yes, 10th anniversary. I'm happy it's going to be back. It's a very important date, and I just can't believe we've been doing this for 10 years. So.
I know, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Any questions for Mr. Kuntz at all?
Hopefully by August, we'll be in a different place.
I hope so. Today was a good sign.
Absolutely. Any other comments or questions? Sir, your item is on our agenda as item D7. So
I'm sorry?
Your item is on the agenda as item D7. So
Okay.
we'll be approving that tonight.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Is there any other requests for folks to be heard? Mr. Kuntz was scheduled, but if you were not scheduled, now is your time. All right. I don't see anyone raising their hand in the chat. Okay. All right. We'll move on to the consent agenda. The following is a list of routine items which do not appear to be controversial in nature and which probably do not require additional discussion. They can be acted on by one motion in their current form. If discussion is desired on any particular item, any member of council or the public may request the item be removed from the consent agenda, and that item will be considered separately. First for council, is there an item any member of council would like to remove from the consent agenda and place on the regular agenda? Okay. Any member of the public? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion has been made by Deputy Mayor Schultz. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Fulham Winston. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. And that would be everything on pages 1, 2, and 3. Moving on to page 4, the regular agenda. There are no tabled, continued, or recurring items. We next go down to reports from elected officials under Mayor's report. If the Deputy Mayor would join me at the podium, please. And also Chief Snyder, while you're at it. Yeah, we got you. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For those of you that don't know, Chief Snyder will be retiring from his service to the borough in 28th of May. And so to honor him for all of his service to the borough, we will be presenting him with some items. The first is a plaque here. And it says, "With our greatest appreciation presented to Chief Jeffrey Snyder, thank you for your outstanding leadership, service, and commitment to the Carlisle community, presented this 13th day of May, 2021 by Borough Council." Congratulations, sir. And just because we can't let anything go without a nice pen. This pen as well, in which is inscribed. It says Borough of Carlisle committed to excellence, also for you. Again, congratulations. Deputy Mayor.
So, Chief, you can use that pen to write us letters after you're gone.
Okay.
You can be as mean as you want at that point. We won't. But it's been a long time. It seems that you've been here. I've had the pleasure of serving alongside you in a couple of ways. And I was talking to Stephanie Taylor earlier today about you look up the definition of such and such, and you see the picture of so and so. Well, Jeff, it's literally true. You look up the definition of firefighter on Wikipedia, and you see a picture of Jeff Snyder. So there you are. So for as long as it stays up there, we're going to keep it. I'll keep replacing it every time somebody takes it down. But Jeff, as a member of council, wearing that hat, and then as a volunteer firefighter, I get to see in a couple of different ways. Sometimes it's a little awkward. I'm not sure whether to call you Jeff or Chief at times, right? But I think a lot of that is because you're so seamless in the way you deal with things, because you're just a good-natured, sincere person, and to have that in a fire chief for these past many years has been a real benefit, not just to us in borough government, but to every citizen in this borough. We're a safer borough. People should sleep better at night, and should have been sleeping better at night over the years because you were a steady hand. And to have you over this past year has been just an absolute blessing. We've been very fortunate to have you help us guide the borough through this pandemic that a little over a year ago no one would have seen coming. But you stepped up, and it was a real opportunity for so many people to step up and show what they're worth. And it didn't shock me at all that Susan was able to rely on you every day, in every way, to get us through this. And I often say everybody is replaceable, but Jeff, you're about as irreplaceable as they come, and we're really going to miss you. And I continued to learn things about you, and it wasn't until recently that I learned how much you like Oreo cookies. So one last gift to you. I know you're trying to slow it down a little bit there, but
yeah,
it's party size
I'm not
too.
sure who told you that. I'm not sure who told you that, but yeah, that's true.
So Jeff, I hope you stick around every once in a while. I know we were trying to work through a more regional approach to the fire service here in Carlisle, and we're gonna get back on that horse, and we're gonna get it done. And when we do, it's going to be because you got it started for us, and you gave us the pathway forward. So we really appreciate it, Jeff. And I could go on, but I'm going to miss you a great deal. Thanks, brother.
So what am I supposed to say now?
Whatever you like.
Well, I'll keep it short. I thank you. Biggest thing is thanking council for supporting me, but mostly the support of the companies. They make the operation. I'm just kind of orchestrate what we're doing. Tremendous administrative and command ground leadership. What I'm going to miss Chief Landis, a great working relationship with the police and fire department, and some of them secret texts that we would send from time to time, and we'll just let that alone. But the support from council, department heads, and borough employees, but especially to Susan, to have the trust in me and trust what I do for her every day. And some of the stories we share, well, we meet just about every day. COVID, it maybe was every split second. Jeff, come on down here. But if you've been around me the last 7.5 years, you know my life revolves around my grandkids. And so we would share a lot of that. Hopefully, they're all going to be here next Friday night to see those four monsters. But hey, I just got to say thank you. 45 years in the business, I never had a bad day at work. I had some sad days, but I've never had a bad day. And I'm just a country kid that grew up fortunate to do what he enjoyed, to be a firefighter. I'm still a boots on the kind of ground guy. I'm sure the chief is the same with the police department. I never want anybody to have a fire. But to me, a good fire is going there and we show our skills and we mitigate. No one's injured, no one's hurt. But that's what you do if you're a fireman. And I love it. And I'll find ways to still do it. Probably stop in every now and then, and hopefully get on a fire truck. But I can't thank you all enough. It's been a great run, especially Susan. Thank you.
That's a lot of work. All right, the party doesn't have to stop. And recognize the borough manager for a few words.
Yes, thank you. I didn't know whether or not I wanted to do it now or at the end of the meeting because I won't be able to look at Chief Snyder as I say a few words. Jeff, for over 43 years, you've answered the call to serve others. And I've often said, and the department heads and council and the public knows, that I've often said that you epitomize public service. Your leadership, your dedication, your commitment to this organization and the community have been extraordinary. You are a man of great strength, humility, and compassion, and your sense of purpose is genuine and apparent to all who have had the privilege to work with you or to even just meet you. Your sense of purpose was extremely evident over the course of the past year through the pandemic, as any time you were called upon, you stepped up. Oftentimes, doing so discreetly without any public praise or recognition. But I know, and I appreciate it. And the individuals in this community know, and they appreciate it, sir. May you know that each of us will carry our fond memories of you and the countless contributions that you've made on a daily basis within our community and this organization. I will definitely miss our early morning meetings, sharing memories of our youth, and sharing of stories and families, especially the pictures and stories of our grandchildren as we watch them grow up together. Your presence will be sorely missed here, and while I'll miss you, my friend, and I call you my friend, there are very few that make it to that inner sanctum, but you are one of them, sir. I'm also very happy that you and Debbie get to turn the page to a new and exciting new chapter in life. And I just hope that your next chapter is full of happiness and including a couple packs of Oreos. Thank you, sir.
Should you try those double stuffed ones too, Chief? Those are really good. Thank you, Manager Armstrong, for those remarks. All right, and again, Chief Snyder, congratulations, and don't be a stranger. All right, moving on to reports from committee, community planning and growth. Still can't hear him.
I can. I know Councilor Cramsey's having some mic issues, so I can take care of making the motion for him. So I move that Borough Council approve an ordinance amending Chapter 226, subdivision and land development ordinance, which shall become effective upon enactment.
Thank you. Mr. Stubbe moves to approve an ordinance to amend our saldo ordinance. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, well, we'll sort that out in the minutes, but we do have a second. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, this will be a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, if you please.
Mr. Cramsey? Ms. Full-Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Hicks?
Aye.
Ms. Landis?
Aye.
Mr. Schultz?
Aye.
Mr. Stubbe?
Aye.
And Mayor Scott.
Aye, and let the record show that Mr. Cramsey gave a thumbs up to the council. Motion passes. Thank you.
I believe that concludes the community planning and smart growth report.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up is economic development.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did mention at the workshop, I thought it went so fast because Councilor Cramsey wasn't there, but I'm afraid he took it to heart and silenced his microphone, and I didn't mean it personally. So it's good to have you back, my friend. Mr. Mayor, I would, on your behalf, I would like to submit and approve a letter recognizing the United Way of Carlisle for their support in managing the Carlisle Area Emergency Response Fund. This program occurred through the whole COVID-19 pandemic, and we wound the program down last week and allocated our last penny for the fund. And if you will indulge me, I'd like to read the letter to the Executive Director, Lucy Zander. Dear Lucy, on behalf of the Borough of Carlisle and its residents, we express our deepest appreciation for your dedication and responsiveness to the Carlisle community during the COVID-19 pandemic. Your organization has been instrumental over the course of the past year in answering the needs of our community through service provided on a daily basis to individuals, families, and nonprofits in Carlisle. As a partner with Borough Council in forming the Carlisle Area Emergency Response Fund, you meticulously managed an effort that addressed our community's most critical health-related needs in a thoughtful and responsive manner. These care funds provided critical assistance to our most vulnerable organizations weeks and months before other financial aid was available from state and federal assistance. The results of your efforts were successful in bringing in donations of $129,814.49 directed towards dozens of nonprofit organizations throughout the Carlisle area, and without a doubt improved the quality of life for our residents and businesses over this past year. Our borough is extremely fortunate to have such a dedicated and passionate team of individuals serving and providing assistance to our residents and businesses in need. Not only were your efforts a tremendous success, they were also another positive reflection of how connected we are as a community. The Borough of Carlisle is very grateful to the commitment of the United Way of Carlisle for providing critical services to our community. Sincerely, Mayor Timothy A. Scott. And I would just lastly like to add, I really appreciate all the time that folks on council had, and especially a big thank you to Councilor Fulham-Wiston, who was, I think, pretty much at every meeting we had for the last year, and she's, as we all know, very thoughtful in helping us sort through a lot of really important requests. So thank you, Deb, for your time, and thank you, everybody, for. I think this was really. I hope we never have to set up another emergency response fund, but I know who I'm calling first to coordinate an effort. Lucy, you were great, and your whole organization is wonderful. Thank you. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, we'll go back and we'll take the vote. Mr. Hicks moves that council approve a letter of recognition to the United Way. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Once again, our partners here in the borough come through, and we would really, I don't know where we'd be without our partnerships with these various agencies and individuals. So it's very much appreciated. All right, I will now call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Employee relations, citizen participation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have one item this evening, and that is appointing the members to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which council established in March. Before making that motion, I did notice that there are at least a few of the individuals we'll be appointing who are in attendance tonight. At least I noticed at least 3 on Zoom. I don't know if there's anyone there in person. And I know a number of them unfortunately weren't able to make it this evening because of scheduling conflicts. But I did want to provide each of them the opportunity just to say a few words to introduce themselves, just since some people may not know who they are. If I know I'm putting them on the spot a little bit with that. But I do see Kendall, Isaac, Tristan Milazzo, and Tawanda Stallworth all And I'll just kind of go down as I see you as attendees, and I think you can just unmute. So Tawanda, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Always ready to give a word, Councilor Stubbe. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the selection committee and for all of the fine work that has gone into this process. I greet you with excitement and enthusiasm. Took a look at the agenda and saw the other folks that I'd be working alongside with, so I thank you for trusting me with this process and trusting me with this responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Kendall? You should be good to unmute, Kendall. I don't know if you're still muted, it looks like.
He just needs to unmute.
Okay, well, Tristan, if you'd like to go ahead and go just to say a few words introducing yourself, and then we'll try to jump back to Kendall. Maybe he's having some mic issues.
Hi, yes, thanks. I'm Tristan Milazzo, the Community Outreach Director at the Cumberland County Historical Society. I'm new to the town as of about 6 months ago, but I'm very excited for this opportunity and looking forward to get started.
Thank you. And Kendall, not sure if you're... There you go.
There he goes.
Okay, sorry about that. Kendall Isaacs, and I've been in Carlisle for almost 3 years now. Work at Dickinson College, and happy to be here and getting involved.
Thank you, everyone. I didn't know, is there anyone in attendance in person at Borough Hall that is being appointed?
No.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I will then get on to the motion. So I move that Borough Council appoint the following individuals to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission: Raph Donaldson, Kendall Isaac, Emily Callahan, Tristan Milazzo, Andrew Razanoskis, Tawanda Stallworth, and Doreen Wilbur. Their term shall become effective May 13th, 2021, and shall expire on December 31st, 2022. The appointed members shall convene their first meeting within 30 days of said appointments and shall submit a proposed mission statement within 60 days of their first meeting.
Mr. Stubbe makes a motion to appoint 7 individuals to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and properly seconded. Any further discussion? As a participant in the interviews, it was a very thorough, if somewhat exhausting process from time to time, but I honestly am proud of the work that we've done, and also want to give a salute to my fellow interviewees on the panel as well. All right. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. Congratulations to everybody on the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'll just note that that first meeting is yet to be scheduled. Now that the members are appointed, it'll be scheduled based on their availability. So once that is scheduled, it'll be publicized as to when the date and time is. But that concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to public safety, I have several items, the bulk of which are relating to street closures. But we'll begin with item number 1. I move that council adopt an ordinance amending the code of the Borough of Carlisle with respect to Chapter 244, Traffic and Vehicles and Traffic, to establish a prohibition against parking of vehicles at all times on Logistics Drive at the intersection with South Shearer Drive from the intersection east 170 feet along the north side of the street. So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on this matter? All right, hearing none. This is a roll call. Madam Secretary?
Mr. Clancy?
Aye.
Ms. Fulham-Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Hicks?
Aye.
Ms. Landis?
Aye.
Mr. Schultz?
Aye.
Mr. Stubbe?
Aye.
And Mayor Scott.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Next, I move that council adopt an ordinance establishing a temporary parking ban affecting certain borough streets in conjunction with Carlisle Productions' 2021 schedule of events.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, this will also be a roll call vote. Madam Secretary?
Mr. Clancy?
Aye.
Ms. Fulham-Winston?
Aye.
Mr. Hicks?
Aye.
Ms. Landis?
Aye.
Mr. Schultz?
Aye.
Mr. Stubbe?
Aye.
And Mayor Scott.
Aye. Motion carries. And my third item, I move the council adopt an ordinance amending the code of the Borough of Carlisle adopted by ordinance number 2032 and thereafter amended with respect to chapter 244, vehicles and traffic, to add one private on-street handicap parking space at 146 West Penn Street, add one private on-street parking space at 129 West North Street, and remove one on-street handicap parking space at 110 East Penn Street. I so move.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, I'll call the question. Oh no, this is a roll call. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Cramsey.
Aye.
Ms. Fulham Winston.
Aye.
Mr. Hicks.
Aye.
Ms. Landis.
Aye.
Mr. Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Stubbe.
Aye.
And Mayor Scott.
Aye. All right, motion carries. Thank you very much. Turning to page 5, these are all items that deal with street closures. Most of these we've approved in the past. So that being said, I make a motion that council approve item 4 through and including 7 on page 5 of this evening's agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries. And that takes care of everything on page 5. And now we'll move on to Public Works, page 6.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 2 items tonight. I would ask Borough Council to adopt a resolution permitting South Middleton Township Municipal Authority to complete a water line extension project in the Borough of Carlisle at 7 Gables Park.
Councilor Fulham Winston makes a motion to adopt a resolution permitting South Middleton Township to complete a water line extension project. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Motion carries.
And next, I ask Borough Council to adopt an ordinance authorizing the execution of a deed of easement for the extension of water facilities in 7 Gables Park.
Ms. Fulham Winston makes a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing the execution of a deed of easement. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this is a ordinance amendment, so it requires a roll call. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Cramsey.
Aye.
Ms. Fulham Winston.
Aye.
Mr. Hicks.
Aye.
Ms. Landis.
Aye.
Mr. Schultz.
Aye.
Mr. Stubbe.
Aye.
And Mayor Scott.
Aye. Motion carries.
And that completes my report.
Thank you very much. Moving on, new business. This is the time when either council members or members of the public can come forward with any matter relating to borough government. Do we have such an individual this evening? All right. Any member of council wish to bring forth some new business? All right. We'll move now to reports from council members and staff, and we'll start with the folks in the room. So, Ms. Fulham Winston, if you please.
Just the wonderful news from the CDC about the relaxing of mask mandates. That's very exciting for getting people out and about, which is great. And especially if you get out and about on Tuesday, to go out and vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
One that is exciting news. It's nice to be back in Borough Hall. Councilor Cramsey won't have the audio issues once he's here in person again. And it'd be nice to be. I think we're all vaccinated here. Actually, I think we're 100% vaccinated here. But I have a head cold, so we're all wearing masks. So. I am very excited about the vote we had earlier to appoint the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I think this is going to be an incredible step forward for this borough. Being part of the interview committee, we were again blessed with so many applicants that we had some hard choices to make. So much so that I think a first in at least my time on council, which I think has been the entire time just about that we've been interviewing for these boards and commissions, we felt that we had to do second interviews. It was just a very deep pool of applicants, and we had some tough decisions to make. I think the group that we have together is really going to move this ball forward and provide council with some meaningful, actionable steps that we can take to improve life in this borough. I do, once again, I want to prolong the meeting as long as I can because I want Chief Snyder to have to stick around as long as possible. But I'll kick it back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Now we'll go to our folks who are joining us via Zoom. Mr. Hicks.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing additional for council this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Landis.
I have a few quick items. First, although I don't have an exact time, and I think that everything's going to come together, but the Lincoln Cemetery Committee have been meeting again pretty regularly on Fridays. We'll have another one tomorrow. And we are hoping to coordinate an event on Memorial Day at Lincoln Cemetery and have a rededication of the space. So it's looking around noontime, but all details will be forthcoming. And yes, Tawanda Stallworth, who was just appointed to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, has been helping greatly to coordinate all of this. So hopefully that will all work out, and we hope to have some folks come out. So we know that there is another event at the Army Heritage that morning. They're going to be at 2 different times, so people can go and attend both. So stay tuned for that. You should probably be able to find it on the Borough page and Facebook once we have all the details worked out. A couple other things. I didn't have anything for Parks and Rec today, but that doesn't mean there's not anything going on in Parks and Rec. So a couple of things. The pool's opening. I know we've talked about it before, but now it's like getting close. So we're opening a little bit late. I think it's June 12th. But you can get your pool pass, and I think we're all going to be really enjoying the summer weather. But also we need lifeguards, and in that time frame before school lets out, the pool is coordinating to have lifeguard training sessions on site. So if you look on either the Carlisle pool page or on the Borough page, you can find the information. And if folks are hired, then I believe it's they get 75% reimbursed for the cost of the class. So it's a win-win, and lots of young folks can get their maybe first job right in the neighborhood or in town here. So check out that, and that completes my report.
Thank you very much. Mr. Stubbe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did just want to note that we do have openings on other boards and commissions as well. We did receive, as Deputy Mayor Schultz said, a lot of applications for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which was great. But I do just want to point out that we have 2 openings for alternate positions on the Human Relations Commission. Also, we have 2 openings on the Parks and Recreation Board. So if anyone is interested in applying for those, I'd encourage you to do so. And that's all I have this evening.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Crampsey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Apologies again to everybody for my technical issues. Luckily, I have great colleagues who picked up my slack. I think Councilor Hicks is right. When I don't speak at these meetings, they go quicker. So when I'm back in June, I expect us to have a 3-hour workshop and meeting. But honestly, thank you all. I do appreciate it. I do apologize for that. What else can be said about Chief Snyder that you all already touched on? I will just thank the chief again. The public didn't get to see all the hard work that he put in, especially over this past year. Dealing with COVID and the response that we had locally. So we send all of our appreciation to him and thank him for that. And then last, just a heads up for the public. I know our staff is working around an issue. We talk a lot about preemption and things that we're not allowed to do locally here. It's my hope that after this June, we'll be able to have a discussion around plastic bags and what we can do in the borough around that issue, whether it's a fee or a ban. But I think I'm looking forward to opening up that discussion, hopefully this July, if the state legislature permits. So thanks.
And that will be a robust discussion for sure. Espoir, I'm surprised to see you. Welcome. Please, if you have anything you'd like to share.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, it's a bittersweet moment, my last council meeting as the Dickinson representative, and I do have some updates and then just some words and thoughts and gratitude that I wanted to share with you all. Last updates from the Dickinson side of things: underclassmen, except those with exceptions, moved out last weekend. Commencement is this Saturday, and they're being very strict with invited guests only for COVID restrictions and safety, but you can watch the live streamed commencement the next weekend on the 23rd. Most students will be moving out by the 23rd, and all students and faculty returning in the fall will be required to be fully vaccinated. And it feels like forever ago that I was signed in during my first Borough Council meeting last fall, and reflecting on what a year it has been fulfilling, and thinking back to everything I've learned. This year being my first working in local government, I realized many things. While it is easy to associate the structures of government with their actions, I learned to see more value in these structures and systems that allow us to make change and have our voices be heard. And without realizing it, I didn't know that my voice had a value, especially as a student in this space. You all taught me that I can make my voice valuable, and I'm eternally grateful for that. I also realized how much I learned from being in Borough Council in this moment in Carlisle, not only during a global pandemic and reckoning, but one happening within our neighborhoods and government as well. These conversations, and ultimately the creation of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission was hugely monumental in the positive reception of the land acknowledgement that I proposed. While this idea will hopefully continue to be worked on in the commission, I'm grateful for the advice from role models and leaders in the borough space that supported me through it and helped me see how I benefited from the work I had not done in this community and could have handled that with more care and honor than I did. Through the generous sharing of time and ideas and thoughts, I've gotten to work with members of the local arts sector and the borough to begin to create a framework for a borough arts fund that can sustain individual artists and art organizations in doing public and civic work in the community of Carlisle, and hope to continue this after my time in this position is over. Thanks so much to Borough Manager Susan Armstrong for her support in these endeavors as well. And even though I wanted to go into this position avoiding to enact all the stereotypes of student involvement in the community and take agency over my role as Borough Ambassador, there are still stereotypes that I embody and continue to, whether I like it or not. I've learned that a label doesn't make it worthless to try and act for change, but being aware of how you are perceived is half the battle, and understanding and honoring that is hard work. As such, I am indebted to gratitude for all I've learned from you all and the wonderful leaders inside and outside of the borough that have shared their knowledge of change-making and cultivating transformation with me this year. While I won't be on campus anymore, I'll be just down the road as an apprentice at the Dickinson College Farm and at Farmers on the Square, and look forward to continuing to see how the Borough of Carlisle continues its commitment to justice and equity. And thank you again all so much for a really incredible opportunity and learning on my end. That's all.
Thank you, Esbar, and please know that learning goes two ways. So we appreciate you as much as you appreciate us, and you probably see me because I love the pizza that the farm serves up at the farm stand. So you will see me, madam. All right. Madam Manager, any staff reports that you're aware of?
No, sir. Nothing
right.
more to report.
Okay.
Congratulations, Esbar. We'll miss you at the table here.
Mr. Solicitor, anything?
I have nothing for council, but I do want to wish Chief Snyder, give him my best regards and my best wishes. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Keith.
Chief Landis, it's Police Week. Did I steal your thunder?
It is. You stole my thunder. Thank you. But I also wanted to give my kudos to Chief Snyder. I will miss my fellow mischievousness. We got into more mischievousness that we should talk about, but I will miss Chief Snyder, as also the professional relationship that the fire department, you'll notice at all the parades or whatever it is, there's a safety net that the fire chief and the police department have put together, which is really good. But I did want to remind, especially during this time of social justice and thinking that in 1962, President Kennedy started the National Police Memorial. And this is Police Week from down through the 15th. First of all, President Kennedy started on the 15th at the Police Memorial Day, and Congress later enacted the Police Week. So please remember those who made the ultimate sacrifice for their communities. at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And seeing no further business before this council, we are adjourned. Thank you.